Back at it again with the Mobius Dickus, chapter 102, A Bower in the Arsacides. So this is a quick chapter which references Ishmael's contact with some inhabitants of an island in the Solomon Islands called the Arsacides, which is named after a Parthian empire from around the 200s BC. And apparently on this island, Tranquo, the king of Trunca, one of the Arsacides, has a giant sperm whale skeleton that has been decorated with a bunch of engravings that capture the history of that island and all of its stories. And I just wanted to focus on this one description of how the sun shines through the bones of the sperm whale and creates a metaphorical loom. So it says, "It was a wondrous sight. The wood was green as mosses of the icy glen. The trees stood high and haughty, feeling their living sap. The industrious earth beneath was as a weaver's loom, with a gorgeous carpet on it, whereof the ground vine tendrils formed the warp and woof, and the living flowers the figures." All the trees, with all their laden branches, all the shrubs and ferns and grasses, the message-carrying air, all these unceasingly were active. Through the lacings of the leaves, the great sun seemed a flying shuttle, weaving the unwearied verdure, the greenness. Okay. "O busy weaver, unseen weaver, pause, one word, whither flows the fabric?" So Ishmael sees the sunlight dappling through the gigantic forest of this island and hitting the ground as metaphorically like God weaving light onto the ground. And God in this instance would be a weaver, right? Someone who is taking action. And he says, "Pause, weaver, just stop for 1 second. Whither flows the fabric?" Whither meaning to where. "What palace may it deck? Wherefore all these ceaseless toiling? Speak, weaver, stay thy hand." So Ishmael metaphorically asks God to stop for a second and to talk to him. "But one single word with thee. Nay, the shuttle flies, the part of the loom that moves. The figures float from forth the loom, the fresher rushing carpet forever slides away. The weaver God he weaves, and by that weaving is he deafened, that he hears no mortal voice, and by that humming we too who look on the loom are deafened. And only when we escape it shall we hear the 1,000 voices that speak through it." So metaphorically, obviously, Ishmael is talking about generally the inaccessibility of God, or whatever you believe to be the animating spirit behind the world, if you are a Chapter 36 subscriber. If you're a Chapter 42 subscriber, you'll say that there is no weaver on the loom, that the loom just operates itself. But if you believe that there is some spiritual manifestation behind things, call it capital N nature, or capital G God, or Allah, or karma, or whatever, this passage seems to bemoan the fact that, unfortunately, it seems pretty central to the human experience to not be able to talk with that force or discuss things with that force. And it's only when we escape this loom, when we are no longer part of the weave, that we can hear what the weaver is thinking or saying. "For even so it is in all material factories. The spoken words that are inaudible among the flying spindles, those same words are plainly heard without the walls bursting from the open casements. Thereby have villainies been detected." So Ishmael is mixing metaphors here. Now he's talking about literal, like garment manufacturing, where you can't hear what's being said if you're right next to a very loud loom, but to someone who is not very close to it, maybe they can hear you. And thus he warns people, "Ah, mortal, then be heedful, for so in the din of this great world's loom, thy subtlest thinkings may be overheard afar." So this seems to me a rather positive vision of the mysteries of life, and seems to be saying that even if, while in this world, we will never get some answers to some questions, that our knowledge will always be incomplete, perhaps there is a chance that the metaphorical weaver is listening, and eventually whatever we think or wonder will be answered on the other side. As we talked about in Chapter 99, the doubloon, it really depends on your point of view and how you interpret the world and how you interpret the weaver God. So once again, Melville just kind of forcing the reader to think, what are my opinions about the nature of the world and the nature of God, and do I think that the weaver is listening or not? An interesting question without an easy answer. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.